Department welcomes you all in the live national level webinar on career in securities market. This webinar is conducted in Student Council of S.S.T College of Arts and Commerce in association with National Institute Securities Market, that is NISM. This is a live webinar wherein we will understand which are the career opportunities are available for the students in the securities market, which is a growing industry. We have with us a great resource person, Mr. Mayur Sindhwad. He is a Chief Technical Officer Operations at National Stock Exchange of India. Mr. Mayur has completed Certified Management Accountant. He has also completed Associate Company Secretary, Certified Information System Auditor. And sir has a very good experience, he is unique startup experience at market infrastructure institutions at NSE and CCIN. Sir has techno-functional skills and expertise across the capital market, ecosystem exchanges, CCPs, depositories, brokers, dealers, and technical service providers. Mr. Mayur has a sound understanding of setting up and operating large cap market operations with tight risk control and ensuring that regulatory compliances of SEBI in the market. So with a great experience, sir will let us know which are the career opportunities are available in the securities market. Like this webinar is not the first webinar of our college. We regularly conduct such webinars for our students. It gives encouragement. Our founder principal, Dr. J.C. Purswani, and IQAC coordinator, Dr. Khushbu Purswani, always encourage us to conduct such live webinars for the students, which will help them to have their good career after completing their graduation and post-graduation. So now I request Mr. Mayur Sindhwad to start the session. So please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Ms. Varsha. So I'll just share my screen. I'm hoping that my screen is visible.
Yes, sir. So please do the slideshow.
Yeah, so I've also made it in a sort of slideshow format. So I think I'll begin.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so good morning, everyone. And I thank NISM and S.S.T College for providing me this opportunity to share my experience with the young students. So I myself am a commerce graduate who then went on to do other qualifications and certifications, and I have been working in the securities market for the last 28 years now. In December I'll complete 28 years. So somehow destiny had it in me for being a part of this market. So before I get into it's a very vast topic, and NISM conducts these or sort of organizes these seminars and conferences with an objective of it's a dual objective. One is that the young students and young generation of ours learns about investing, and also gives them an insight about having a career in securities market. Because I started as a commerce graduate, and during those times, commerce, typically you would think of a career only in banking. Securities market, people really did not know that there could be a career in securities market. Obviously, when I started off, so it's interesting. I was doing graduation between 92 to 95. Yeah, I completed my graduation in 95, and I started my career in NSE in 95, end of 95. Now it is just coincidence and maybe destiny that that is the most pivotal point in India's securities market. All of you, I'm sure, would have heard about the 1992 Harshad Mehta scam, right? There is a web series on Sony Live. So I'm not marketing that web series, but for this generation, it's a very good way to understand, just get some background about how the markets were at that time. So really speaking, there was not much career opportunity or career options in the securities market at that time, because it was a very closed sort of club kind of market. You had about 250 200 members or brokers of BSE who used to run the market from 12 to 3, and it was sort of, they were the players and they were the umpires and referees. So in that sense, it was that kind of a market. So 1994, I mean, obviously after the scam, government, I mean, everyone, I don't want to get into all of that. Then NSE was set up, and we started with online trading in India for the first time. And there was a concept of demutualization. Basically the ownership was separated from running the market. So NSE was set up by institutions like IDBI and LIC and UTI and stuff. And the people who ran the NSE were not brokers, so they could not trade or transact themselves in the securities market. Okay, so and then other uh, developments took place with the help of SEBI in making sure that the markets were safe for investors. And then there was a whole ecosystem around the exchanges which started coming up, and which is sort of now, in the last 30 years, we have traveled far. And I it is not an exaggeration to say that India's capital markets, under the guidance of SEBI, is one of, I would not even say one of, it is the most advanced securities market in the world. Okay, with any parameter. Okay, value wise, we may still not be the top because of our exchange rate, etc. But in terms of the number of transactions that we do, in terms of the safeguards available for the investors, and in terms of the speed at which we do, we are by far the top securities market in the world. Okay, so I'm just giving a little bit of history and background, because it is important to know that we have such an advanced and vibrant securities market, and where we should have sort of an aspiration and pride to have a career in that market, because we are all studying commerce students, so it's pretty natural, banking and then securities market. I mean, so as I give you some more details, you would realize that securities market is just not buying and selling shares, right? And that is not the only thing which happens in the securities market. Because I myself have faced this when I started in 95, and when I would meet relatives, they would ask, where are you working? I would say NSE kya hota hai? Oh, BSE. Then I had to explain to them that it's a new stock exchange setup, and which allows online trading. So what do? You do buying and selling of shares. So I have to tell them, explain to them that I don't do buying and selling of shares. We provide a platform where there are people who can uh, use that platform to raise capital and then transact in those securities, right? So we have to be quite mindful of what what is a securities market. Otherwise, in a very simplistic one, still there is a lot of uh, lack of awareness in the general population that what is a stock exchange, what do you do in a stock exchange. So stock exchange is just one big block of the securities market. There are others, so I will that's why I put up this slide, which sort of gives you a very high level overview of what is the structure of our securities market. So right at the top is SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India, which is the regulator of the securities market. Just like RBI, the Reserve Bank of India, is the regulator of the banking industry. or regulator of all banks. SEBI is the regulator of all intermediaries and all entities that are part of the securities market. So SEBI was set up in 89 actually, formally, but its real teeth, or the power started coming after 92. And then they've sort of refined and set out various regulations to make sure that the investors' money is safe, and there are enough safeguards in place to make sure that there are no more mishaps happening. Right now, why is it important is you need, right? Otherwise, as an asset class, the investing community should feel comfortable in putting their hard-earned money into the capital markets, right? Unlike otherwise in India, typically still there is a lot of preference for buying property or gold. Now, if you see various reports and studies, property, I mean, it doesn't give you that kind of returns which you would get in equity markets or any other securities market instrument. But and if there are any disputes, you have to go to the courts, and the the time it takes in our country for court cases to get settled, right? So while SEBI is the top regulator in the market, there is an entity called Securities Appellate Tribunal, SAT. Why SAT, you should be aware, is that though SEBI is a regulator and it has wide-ranging powers to issue orders, levy penalties, debar people from trading in capital market or securities market, etc. If anyone is aggrieved or has a grievance against a order passed by SEBI, then that person can approach the SAT, Securities Appellate Tribunal, against that order. Now, why I'm bringing this out is because there is a fast track mechanism. Unlike, you don't have to go through the courts and go. So SAT is at the same level as an high court. So, straight away you are fast tracked into a high court level appellate tribunal where they dispose of cases at a very faster rate compared to our courts. And then if SAT also you're not satisfied, then you can approach the Supreme Court. So just trying to bring out the legal framework that has been put in place to make sure that the investors' safety is taken care of. And there is an element of a career option also. See, please look at this slide. From why I'm bringing this out is to make sure that you get a flavor of what are the different aspects that play in the securities market, and obviously basis each one's preference and what you have done as a education, you can look for career options. So straight away you can sense that even people with good understanding of securities market, the laws, there are various regulations and acts that deal with securities market in India. And so if you have a inclination towards legal and law, there is a huge opportunity to pursue your interest in those areas as well. So now we'll come to the next blocks. Okay, so SEBI regulates all of these entities that are listed here. Now, stock exchanges, like I said, that's the most sort of right at the center of the securities market. Stock exchanges are platforms where people who need money, right, come and offer security, some form of security, and there are investors who want to give their money, obviously in the expectation of some return, who sort of subscribe in case of primary market, and who sort of buy in case of secondary market. So stock exchanges are basically platforms where issuers and investors meet and they satisfy their own needs. Next is the clearing corporation. Now, clearing corporation again is a unique entity. So when 1994 NSE started online trading, before that, in BSE, if or before electronic trading started, if there were disputes between two brokers, so if some broker has bought shares and he has not uh, paid the money, or if somebody has sold and he has not delivered the shares, then those settlements used to take months or years. You would be caught up, and there was no guarantee of a transaction going through. Similar to, say, in a property deal, if you buy and the seller doesn't give the papers, or there is some problem in the property papers, you are always at tenterhooks till the registration is completed, for the deal to go through. So what concept of clearing corporation is, it guarantees settlement. So basically, on a stock exchange, when you transact, when you buy or sell, you are not concerned of who is the buyer or who is the seller, because the stock exchange has a clearing corporation through which it settles and clears the trades. This clearing corporation guarantees that no matter if the buyer fails to pay the money for what he has bought, or if the seller fails to deliver the shares, we will ensure that the opposite party gets what it had contracted for, right? So the clearing corporation is also known as CCP, central counterparty. These are some terms which are used in the market, just bringing those terms out for your knowledge. Third big block is the depositories. Depositories are basically, it was set up by the Depositories Act in 1996. So depositories it is nothing but digitization of all the securities markets holdings. So before depositories came into the picture, the share trading, as we know, the bond certificates, all were physical certificates. So if you buy a share, buy shares, or you subscribe for an IPO, you would get those physical certificates delivered to your home. And then when you want to sell, just like today you do with a property, this thing, you had to sign at the back and write the name of the buyer, and then send it to the company for registering the new buyer, etc. And that would take months, and there were, as usual, problems of lost share certificates, stolen share certificates, fake share certificates, and all of those problems were associated with physical certificates. So the biggest change that depositories brought about is because of the electronic uh, holding of shares. The foreign investors started coming into our country. Before 96, they did not have the confidence to invest in India, because we had a lot of problems with all the issues that I just mentioned of fake and stolen and lost and stuff like that. So depositories was the biggest change which brought with respect to the safety of investors, and it brought about a huge change in the mindset of foreign investors to invest in India. So the three blocks together, stock exchanges, clearing corporation, and depositories, we call them as market infrastructure institutions, MIIs. This is a term which is used. You would hear it, read about it, but you would wonder what is a MII. So basically, if you, in the context of the securities market in India, these three entities or these three blocks are sort of the digital infrastructure of the country. The entire market has sort of revolved and built around these blocks. So we normally talk about infrastructure, we think about roads, highways, bridges and dams, etc., airports and stuff, and everything builds around these infrastructure, right? You need highways to travel from here to there. Transport is dependent on these infrastructures. So similarly, these three are the big building blocks of the securities market, and the entire market ecosystem revolves around these three and use the facilities and framework provided by these entities to trade or offer their services. Companies, also called as issuers, again, very simple. They are in need of money. They come to the capital markets to raise money. And then at the next level, you have these brokers. You can trade on the stock exchange only through brokers, right? You cannot, as an investor, directly trade on the exchange. You need to be registered as a broker. There are separate regulations with respect to stock exchanges. So I'm not going into the specific nuances of each. I'll just give you a broad this thing so that you get a sense of the sheer number of entities, the types of uh, entities that are available in the capital market, which effectively means that these are the various career opportunities for available for anyone who is interested in securities market, right? Now, so we call it the three eyes of securities market: issuers who need money and who want to raise money. Examples are, even governments want money, right? So they also come to the capital markets. Investors are who want to invest, or who have the money, extra money, but they want to earn returns on that. So they are the people who sort of provide money to the issuers. But the most important people are the intermediaries in the middle, who sort of marry the needs of the issuers and the investors. So the intermediaries are all of these stock exchanges, merchant bankers, underwriters, stockbrokers, authorized persons. So I'll give you a brief glimpse of what each one, what is their main role, or what is their function. So you get a sense of uh, what what are the various opportunities in the markets. So merchant bankers, they are the main entity which deals with the primary market or IPO process. We keep hearing about a lot of IPOs. This year, this 23 has been one of the best years in terms of the IPOs, new issues, new offerings that are coming to the market. That's generally the trend, right? So even 92, when that Harshad Mehta scam happened, the IPO market was at its peak. You would have um, 10, 10, 12, 12 public issues open on a single day. So again, we've come a long way in terms of the process and the timelines it takes for a public issue or new issue to get listed on an exchange. So merchant bankers are specialists who manage the entire process with respect to doing the documentation with SEBI for getting approval, etc. So I mean, just as a side topic, there is a very interesting somebody who's more from a investment perspective. If any of you are interested, you can look up a video on YouTube called just PP Wet Balls, Jaspal Bhatti. You can just search for in YouTube, PP Wet Balls, uh, Jaspal Bhatti comedy video on IPO. It is a 6-7 minute video. It will give you a good. It's a very fun way of informing of how investors are fall for the IPO market, and by hearing tips and without doing any research, etc. It's a side point. I just since we are speaking about IPOs, I thought I will just share. Some of you may be interested. It's nice, even though structurally, I mean, the mechanisms have changed, but in principle, the psychology remains the same. So it's nice. You can listen, watch it in your free time, right? So underwriters, now these are specialists who sort of guarantee that if an IPO, so suppose a company comes up with an IPO of 500 crores and it expects to raise 500 crores from the market, but it falls short, and it can raise only 450 when the issue closes. So underwriters are entities who for a fee guarantee that, okay, whatever the shortfall is, we will ensure that we get you subscription for that under subscribed portion. So again, something similar to insurance in concept wise, not exactly insurance, but similar concept in terms of IPOs. Now again, just sharing from my experience, if any of you remember, I don't know, you would have read, you'll all be too young. I was at your age when the Infosys IPO happened in 93, I think, right? So Infosys is India's success story in the IT space, and that issue was undersubscribed by about 13% or whatever. It was priced at 95 rupees per share, and the underwriters had to actually make up the shortfall. So again, usually we don't hear of underwriting coming into the play, because most of the times issue do get subscribed, but there are rare cases where they they come into the picture. So it's like, you buy term life insurance, you though you pay, so you actually don't want that insurance to come into play, right? Because no one is, but that's a safety net that you do. So underwriters play that role. Stockbrokers are the most
Sir, I would request you underwriters to need to take permission, or they should be given the license from any of the authority.
Yes, it is a SEBI registered entity, and you need to take license. So all of these intermediaries have to be registered with SEBI. So that is the fundamental principle. All of these entities will have some regulation specific to them issued by SEBI. So they have to be registered. Only then they can play that role. So that is, I mean, I'm trying to give this idea because everything is so tightly regulated and with specific regulations and laws around this, that it is a structured market. So in terms of safety for the investors, as well as uh, you know looking at a career option with people who have some sort of legal mindset. See, it's very very clear in this day and age, you cannot be confined to one particular skill set or one education. Even though if I am a commerce guy, I cannot be ignorant of technology today, right? It is impossible in any market or in any industry today, in any career, to say that I'm not interested in technology, I am not too keen. Fine, you may work just like a user. Everyone need not be a technology expert, and no one needs to code, but that mindset has to be there to sort of adapt and learn new things. Only then you can do better than your peers. I mean, let's face it, we are at in some manner or this thing, we are competing in a even corporate life. If you have a career, or if you have your own entrepreneurship, you have your own business also, you're competing with other businesses. So I'll come to that a little later towards the end, when I look specifically talk about some specific career opportunities. I'll share some experience there. Stockbrokers, again, they are the most well-known sort of entities, intermediaries of the market. They are specialists who are members of the exchange. Again, they are also having regulations around them, and they they register clients like retail investors, institutional investors, and the clients have to transact through the broker to on the exchange, right? Authorized persons is a terminology which was brought in later. They used to be called as stock sub brokers earlier. So now again, this sub broker was a concept before online trading really started or took off in a big way, because that time, like I said, there were BSE was the biggest exchange, uh, and it was in Bombay. So now the brokers were in Bombay. Now there are, but so what happens to people outside Bombay who want to trade? So there would be, each broker would have some sub brokers who would introduce new clients to the brokers, and they would take some commission out of the brokerage fee as a part of their service. So basically, their objective is to sort of bring in more clients and increase the reach of the brokers to get more clients. Depository, I already said, they enable investors to hold and transact in an electronic form, and depository participants are basically agents of depositories. So so most of the stockbrokers also have an entity registered as a depository participants, because it helps them seamlessly uh, carry out their business with respect to transfer of shares. So depository participants are the places where you have your shares held in electronic form as balances, right? So most of you would have been, anyone of you who has a trading experience or has actually tried trading on stock exchanges would be aware of these terms. You need a 3-in-1 account, basically a bank account, a demat account and a broking account. So the demat account is opened with a depository participant, right? So typically all these big banks started this 3-in-1 concept like ICICI, HDFC, etc. Because they have a bank, they also have a registered stockbroking entity, and they've all registered as a depository participant with the depository. So currently, just to go back to this, so exchanges in India currently, so we have NSE, BSE. They are the two largest exchanges in the equity and equity derivative space. Then there are other two called MCX and NCDX, who are sort of the two biggest in the commodity derivative space. Depositories, there are two depositories currently in the country. One is NSDL, which was set up by NSE in 96, and another is CDSL, which was set up in 97 by BSE. So there are two depositories, 4 really large exchanges today, and there are 3 clearing corporations today. NSE has its own clearing corporation called NSE Clearing Corporation. BSE has its own clearing corporation called ICCL, and MCX has its own clearing corporation called MCX CC. Sorry. So the next intermediary is registrar and transfer agents. Again, these are mainly helping out in maintaining the records of investors and their transactions. So whenever you subscribe for an IPO or you apply for a new IPO, registrars are the guys who send out the details of allotment, etc. So they are sort of the back office or the outsourced thing for companies, so that they handle the register of shareholders every day, because there are people buying and selling. So the maintenance of those who are the new buyers, sellers, that is carried out by the registrar and transfer agents. Asset management companies are mutual funds. Okay, that's the technical or legal name for mutual funds. So you must be keeping on seeing on TV ads for the last 4-5 years, right? Mutual funds sahi hai. So again, mutual funds again is a concept where because small investors do not have the wherewithal or the time or the facility to do research on companies before before identifying companies where they should invest in. Asset management companies are specialists, where they pool money from many investors, and then they use their expertise to invest in securities. So you could invest with as low as 500 rupees in a mutual fund. So typically we always advise new first time investors to start with mutual funds, and then you can slowly do direct equity share investing. So mutual funds also invest in debt instruments, so it is not that only equity asset class is used. Credit rating agencies are again an intermediary which basically provide rating for debt securities, to sort of give some guidance in terms of whether this company will be able to meet its interest obligations and ensure that the capital is repaid at maturity. So you would have heard of ICRA, CRISIL, CARE. They provide these ratings called AAA, AA. So each rating signifies the level of comfort that rating agency has seen when they inspect and when they evaluate that company whenever they are issuing any debt securities. So interestingly, debt credit rating, normally you associate it only with a debt security. So I remember my interview when I joined NSE, as a management trainee in 95. So in 95, I was asked by one of the interview panelists, are equity shares also credit rated? So that time, so I was aware. So I answered no, it is only for debt instruments. So that answer was right. But interestingly, if that question is asked today, you have to say yes, because now there is a concept of credit rating for equity shares also. Okay, so because they've used the same concept for giving some sort of guidance on equity shares whenever a company is coming out with an IPO. So in general, you would associate credit rating with a debt security, but now even equity shares have some sort of rating, and which is carried out by these agencies themselves. Portfolio managers are similar to asset management companies, with only difference being they are dealing mainly with high net worth individuals, etc., rather than because they need a certain. So as of now, as per the portfolio managers regulations, the minimum investment to amount to avail the facility of a portfolio management service is 50 lakhs. So you need to provide either shares or cash, or cash, I mean, bank balance or whatever, up to 50 lakhs minimum to be able to use the facility of a portfolio manager. So all these celebrities, etc., they will obviously use the services of portfolio managers because they are having so much money, but you need specialists to manage their investment activities. Investment advisors are again, again they have to register with SEBI, which, like I said, there are, you would have all seen in your localities, there would be small offices, shops where you would they would be giving you advice that invest in this mutual fund, invest in this FD, this is giving you good return, etc. So basically they are advisors who bases their certifications and their research, they give you investment advice. So today all of you would be, I'm sure, would be hearing about these finfluencers, right? Financial influencers, which is a sort of a new area which has come up in this digital world. A lot of people are just coming on YouTube and giving, investment advice. This strategy for buying, selling, this much return guaranteed, etc. So you have to be aware that these are all. So to be able to give financial investment advice, you need to be registered with a SEBI as an investment advisor. There are certain certifications, etc., which you need to pass, and there is a qualification criteria. Only then, if you are a SEBI registered investment advisor, you can provide investment advice. But this day and age, there are a lot of people who are duping people by coming out on YouTube and giving advice, guaranteed returns, and people are falling for it. So again, this is one of the functions in the securities market. Research analysts, again, there are specialists. They analyze the countries, they analyze specific sectors, like banking sector, technology sector, pharma sector, and within that sector then there would be companies. So somebody who's, say for example, analyzing technologies as a sector would be then specialist in TCS, Infosys, Wipro, HCL, etc. And then they bring out research reports and they give recommendations whether this Infosys, say for example, is at today worth buying with a target price of this much in 6 months, 10 months, 9 months, whatever, or this now looks likely to be sold. So they give you, buy, sell, hold recommendations. So that's the job of a research analyst, right? So I just gave a sort of deep dive into, the intermediaries that are there, and you should be aware of the kind of functions that each one, each intermediary is a specialist. So there are a lot of variety of activities that are carried out in the securities market, right? So one thing we should be aware is that India, like I said in the beginning, we are the most advanced capital market, I would say, in the world. The number of transactions that we carry out on a per day basis, just to give you some number, in NSE we carry out about, 1500 crore transactions in a day in 6.25 hours of trading. Now when I say transactions, not all are trades. There are orders and trades. So order is a order could be a bid or a offer. Basically, it's an intent to buy or sell. Whether a trade happens, so order and trade is different, but the number of transactions that the systems have to process are about 1500 crores on an average in a daily basis. So why I'm giving you this number is just to give a sense. Okay, now we all know UPI as the big success story in the last 3-4 years, right? Everyone talks about phone pay, Paytm, you name it, Beam UPI, etc. And it's used. It's a big success story of India. They do about 1,000 crore transactions in a month, and NSE does 1,500 crore transactions in 6 hours. So just see the scale, right? So, and each transaction, the response time, I mean, so no one really cares. So for example, if you are buying on Amazon and you placed a purchase order and used UPI to make the payment, and then the buy confirmed or done, that takes about, instead of the normal 2 seconds, it takes about 5 seconds or 10 seconds. It's okay. I mean, no one really cares, no one will be worried. But in our exchanges, the speed at which these transactions happen, what I told you, is on an average at 200 microseconds. Now, when I say microseconds, each second has got 1,000 milliseconds, and each millisecond has got 1,000 microseconds. So 1 to the power 1 into 10 to the power 6. Right. So the response time. So you're sitting in your office and punching a order, and the response that you get back is on an average in 200 microseconds. So just giving you a sense of the scale and size with at what we operate in India. And the nearest exchange in terms of this kind of scale in the world today is the Brazil exchange, which is still about 1/4 of what we do today, right? So, I mean, it's a place where we are all, or we should aspire to work in. And once you work there, we will be proud of what we are doing. Because as a country, there are very few such examples where India can truly say that we are the leaders, and we have we are much ahead in terms of our thinking in the world. Like, for example, one more example I can give you is the settlement time, right? T+1 we are already today, and we are already talking about T+0 from January, February. Now, when I say T+1, T+0 means if you buy shares today, you get your shares tomorrow in your account, in your demat account tomorrow. And if you sell today, you get the money tomorrow. Now, this was unheard of few years ago, right? I mean, I'm not even talking about the 90s, etc. I mean, T+1, and we are talking from Jan Feb, we will start in a small way, where if you sell today, you get your money today itself. So in a way, we are sort of making the securities market, the stock holdings on par with your bank balance. So that's the kind of liquidity which it will provide, right? So while on the financial aspect, it's fine, but why I'm trying to bring out all of this is the kind of work and the back end infrastructure and the kind of thinking that goes behind it. It requires a lot of effort, and people who have an interest in this kind of area will be able to excel and do well in this market, right? So that was on a broad level of what the securities market is, the structure, what are the various entities, intermediaries that they specialize in. So I'll not get into all the other slides where it's more about investing, etc. Now I'll straight away jump to the career section, which may be of more interest to some of you. So I'll just give me a minute. Right. So these are some of the profiles. Okay. So before I sort of talk a little bit on each of these profile, I mean, from my experience, I can share. So like I said right at the beginning, I graduated in 95, so I'm a commerce graduate. I completed my cost accountancy along with my graduation, and I had no interest in starting or looking for a job at that time. Fortunately, my father was also keen that I can uh, keep on studying. So I had enrolled myself for company secretary, and had also registered for CFA. Okay, in June '95, and then in October '95, I saw an ad of National Stock Exchange requiring management trainees in in Times of India. So my dad, like, because of my father, I had an interest and I had an awareness about the stock market. He used to invest, and I attended AGMs, etc. So I had some awareness and all. And he was aware of this new exchange being set up, and also he said, "Why don't you try?" So then I applied, and I said I was lucky enough to get through, and I started my career in uh, 95. Now, you would think, what is the work to do in exchange? Like most of my relatives, like I said, they would think that you're working in NSE. Okay, so you're buying and selling. Kya share lena chahiye, kya bechna chahiye? That is the first question they will ask when they meet me. Now, so I'm sure a lot of you will also have those questions. So what do you do in an exchange as an employee? If you're not buying and selling shares, then what is the work that you do, right? So just to give you some sense of the departments, or the various functions that are there at a very high level, I'm not going into the specifics, but so, like I spoke so much, some at every point in time I was giving some reference about technology, this scale, that scale, we do this billion transactions, we do online trading, this, that. So I'm sure all of you got a sense that, and all of you are aware that technology is a very important it's the core of whatever our markets, and why our markets are so advanced. So obviously there is a big technology sort of function in the exchange. So people who have technology expertise will definitely have a career option here to right at the cutting edge. You will get a chance to work in our capital markets. Now, it's you should understand that technology by itself cannot do anything, right? They have to be provided, the technology guys who code, they have to be provided with the business inputs, what exactly is the functionality or what business needs. Only then they can code for it, right? So technology is just a supporter or a facilitator for achieving the business goal. Ultimately everything is towards some financial or business goal. So so that mindset, that if I'm a commerce person or I'm a finance guy, what will I do in technology, or how will I, that's a very normal and natural mindset to have. But so I learned it that way. Okay, when I joined NSE, I had, honestly, I'll tell you, till 95 October, I had not even worked on a computer. In 94, 95, no one had computers at home and all. It was too expensive, and that was not the way like today we have, right? So, I mean, my first real exposure to computers itself was when I joined NSE. And today I am, after so many years, if you would have asked me in 95 that I will be the chief technology officer of NSE, I would have said, go take a walk, right? I would have laughed. But I am a commerce guy, but I have, because I had an interest, and I realized very soon that if we need to do good or do well in your career, you need to embrace technology. And I have just used my sort of skill and my attitude to, to take my career forward from then on. So the only piece of advice I will give you is, don't keep a block in your mind. Be open to learn new things. Whatever you are able to learn on the job, nothing goes waste. Everything will be useful, and it will help you grow. This was for technology part. Then obviously there are operations. Like I said, markets have to function. There are timings of market. Market work from 9 to 4, etc. Systems have to be ready. There are new listings happening every day. New clients, new members keep getting onboarded. So all of this has to be performed. Some operations have to be performed on the systems that are provided to the various market intermediaries. So there is a team which works on systems, but need to understand that function or that activity to perform. So there are a lot of people working in operations area in the exchange. I'm giving you more specific about exchange because I work in an exchange. There are similar kind of functions specialized with each of the market intermediary that I shared with you earlier, right? Then there is a function of business development, right? So exchanges come out with new products, new facilities uh, to to provide opportunities and new avenues for investment to investors and other entities. So there is a team which looks at new products and how to come up with new features, etc. So people with that kind of mindset can work in those areas. There is a concept of enterprise risk, etc. If some of you must be aware, right? Since everything is so automated and there are processes in place, there is a team which looks at the enterprise risk in terms of the efficiency deficiencies in the operational processes that are set up by that entity or by the exchange. So there are risk professionals who have an opportunity in and and you must have realized by now that since everything is tightly regulated by SEBI and there are regulations in place, so there is a lot of compliance and regulatory work that needs to be done by the exchanges, right? There is member and company inspections, there is investigations which need to be done. Listing is a process where you need to understand Companies Act and listing regulations set up by SEBI. There is a surveillance function in regulatory. There is investor service, because investors, small investors, if they face some issues with any market intermediary, the first point of call is the exchange, and then only if their grievance doesn't get settled, they go to SEBI. So within regulatory also there are a lot of different functions that are available. And obviously, like any corporate, even the exchanges, depositories, clearing corporations are corporate. So you have these support services like finance and accounts. So somebody who's a pure finance guy, who's just interested in balance sheet and profit and loss account, doing core accounting work. Obviously, there is an opportunity. It's just like any other, say, for example, Hindustan Lever, right? I mean, that function is across all industries, and the same in securities market. So every entity will have a finance and accounts function, an HR function, secretarial function, and other services, right? So broadly, these are the departments or the functions that are available in an exchange. Now, some of the profiles, so profile has to be in line with the mindset or the attitude or the personality of each individual, right? Like, for example, I know for myself that I'm not very good at I'm not an extrovert. I'm not very good at uh, making new friends easily, and I don't just go out and talk to strangers. And also, so I will not be suitable for the first block. If you see the first block, creative, social, energetic, relationship manager, distributor, stockbroker, where you have some sort of marketing element, so people with a marketing kind of, who have that kind of mindset can look at the first block. These are some of the profiles that are available as a career opportunity with all the intermediaries that we just saw. And somebody who's very very good at doing analysis of data, you can do number crunching, and is very good at those kind of things. They also have an opportunity here in terms of research analyst and being a fund manager, where your job is actually to just come out with very interesting insights after doing number and data crunching. So it appeals to these kind of profiles are suitable, and it appeals to people with that kind of mindset. Then the third block is like somewhere where I fit in. You are more about doing operations. You're diligent, you're disciplined, etc. Not very glamorous jobs, but these are essential to make sure. So these are some of the profiles that are available in the market intermediaries. Again, it's a repeat of that structure where you can look for opportunities, which are the entities where you can apply for jobs. That's the standard question, right? So the block that I showed you, the securities market structure and the intermediaries, these are the 15-20 entities, because banking, it's only banking. And the interesting thing is, I spoke about technology. I'll again speak a little bit about that. All of these entities that we saw, they are all so dependent on technology, and they all work with some technology partner. They are so heavily invested in either their in-house developed technology systems, or they depend on third-party systems. So in a way, this entire ecosystem plus technology, so there is a huge opportunity even in these technology companies which support and facilitated these securities market intermediaries. So people from working in exchanges have also gone to these technology companies as functional experts and business analysts to provide service to other market intermediaries. So for example, I worked in NSE, then I say, just giving an example, say I joined TCS. Now TCS has a product which, a trading system for example, then it sells that system to some other country's stock exchange. For example, recently there was a news that TCS has been signed up by Australian Stock Exchange, right? So Australian Stock Exchange wants to deploy TCS developed trading platform and clearing system. So people who have worked on this will be used, and they will get an opportunity to work on those projects as well. So endless opportunities if you learn that way. And if you ask me, people talk about fintechs now. That's the in thing. Everyone has been speaking about fintech, the last 2-3 years. NSE, or India's capital market, was the real first fintech of India in 93-94 when it was set up, right? At that time, no one had thought about this kind of thing, the revolution and the transformation that has been brought out. And in 30 years, we have reached a place where we can proudly say that we are at the top of the ladder in terms of the systems and the infrastructure and the safety net that our regulator has provided. No other country has such a active and diligent regulator which comes up continuously with new regulations to make sure that we have a safe marketplace for investors. And in turn, indirectly, it is providing so many career opportunities. And don't look at it only from a job kind of perspective. So this ecosystem is such that there are enough opportunities to have your own sort of setup as well. You can be your own entrepreneur and set up your own business as well. There are so many examples where people have worked in this as as a job in some of these market intermediaries, and then they've gone and set up their own firms. So many famous examples. A very recent one was say Prashant Jain of HDFC Mutual Fund, right? He served in HD Mutual Fund for more than 20 years as their chief investment officers in equity asset class, and then he quit and he set up his own portfolio management service firm. This is just one example. There are a lot of people at various levels you can do that. So this NISM. So one last point which I will try and say is that the certifications that NISM provides, if you enroll in these certifications, or there are various asset classes, various areas which are covered, and there are various levels, beginners, foundation, and advanced, etc. So depending on your interest area, you can start looking at those. It's a straight advantage. Like I'll tell you from my company's experience, right? So say I am doing campus recruitment from S.S.T college, and I get 10 CVs. Now I have only 2 openings, and how do I filter? And all of your scores are also similar, your GPAs, and also it's very difficult for me. I have limited time, limited number of seats available. How do I identify? And I don't have the time to interview 10 people for 2 seats, right? So if on the CV I see somebody has taken a NISM certification, it straight away allows me to filter out and narrow my list. So because I know this person is at least aware of the basic concepts. Say for example, if he has done a securities market beginners module and a security market operations module, so and if I'm looking for a candidate in that area, it is a straight away an advantage. So the candidate has an advantage, and as well as the employer, because he gets a person who is already aware of the terms, basic things. So and he gets a head start, and he can straight away start being productive, So my earnest request to you is all of you can, look at these NISM certifications. They are very nominal cost. Two definite advantages. One is it will give you a certification, and if nothing, it will at least educate you to take informed decisions in terms of doing your own investments, personal finance, because at least that is the basic which everyone should know. And you all are commerce students, and you should definitely have an understanding, and you should be an informed investor instead of depending on tips and frivolous financial influencers. So I urge you, and the best part about is these certifications are that they are held throughout the year. There is no fixed sort of schedule that it is only twice in a year or once in a year. They are held every day. You can look at the study material, download, they are free, download the study material, get a sense, okay, I will need 1 month, 2 months, 3 months to study this, and then accordingly set up your own exam date. Most of the certifications are in the range of 1,000 to 2,000. So I mean, it's really uh, really nominal, and it is very, very useful. See, the biggest difference is, unlike the other study and the curriculum that we do, like I mean, things have changed now, but when I passed out and a lot of subjects and a lot of chapters which I had studied, I've never, had a chance or never come across any practical use of that in my career. The biggest advantage of this NISM certifications are that they are built out of the actual usage and practical things that are happening in the securities market. So whatever you learn or whatever you get a certification on will be straight away applicable, and you will see that on day one of your job, that oh, this is what I had done in my certification, and this is that. So that is the biggest difference. So it's an education, it's a certification which is practically in use. So you will be able to relate to what you've studied and what you are actually doing, unlike a lot of our curriculum, which sometimes it's because of history or because of practice, they are there in our syllabuses. I'm sure things have improved. I'm sorry, but yeah, a lot of things which I had done, I found no practical use of that in our day-to-day life. So I think I've spent an hour almost. I'm not sure
Yes,
whether I'm not sure whether I've addressed what the audience needed, but I've tried to come up with something which I have learned, and I just try to share my experience, and I'm open to any questions. If any of you have on anything, on investment or whatever I can answer, I will definitely try to answer.
sir, one question is which has been raised by one of the students.
Yes.
Is that what is the qualification needed for portfolio management? Portfolio manager.
There's no specific qualification as such. There is a portfolio management registration process which you need to do as per the SEBI portfolio management regulation. There is a specific regulation published by SEBI, so that has the specific details of what you need to do. So there is no other ISA specific. It's not like a CA. You need to have a CA certificate to sign audit accounts. Not like that, but definitely there are some criteria which is given in the SEBI regulation. So you can look up the SEBI website for the portfolio management regulation, and you will get the specifics in that. I'm not aware of each and every uh, item that is listed there, but you can read up in that on the SEBI website.
Sir, one of the questions raised by the faculty, the first chart what you had shown, that was related to one of the questions which has been raised by the faculty.
Yeah.
On the first slide itself, the chart which you had shown displayed. Sir, could you explain what you mean by SET, Securities Appellate Tribunal?
Yeah. So Securities Appellate Tribunal is a appellate authority. Like I said, SEBI has been given wide-ranging powers under the SEBI Act to pass orders and levy penalties, etc. They are a sort of quasi-judicial kind of thing, right? So they can pass orders. So for example, they can uh, they can debar somebody from, like recently, some of you must be following the news. There was this case about this Z promoter Puneet Goenka. He was debarred from holding any position as a director in his company till some investigation is complete, because there was some investigation done by SEBI and they passed an order against that chairman and MD of Z, Mr. Puneet Goenka, and his father Subhash Chandra, that you cannot hold position of any director or anything till the investigation is complete. So now Mr. Goenka did not agree with that order. So where does he go for an appeal against a SEBI order? So he went to SAT. SAT is the Securities Appellate Tribunal. Like I said, it is the equivalent of a high court for the securities market to fast track these kind of grievances, because there are certain matters which cannot wait or be at the mercy of our courts. Like for example, like I said, property disputes, you will go to the court. When it will get listed, we don't know, right? And here, if every small investor has to go to the district court, sessions court, high court, supreme court, then it will be too much. So this is a fast track mechanism to facilitate grievance redressal against any SEBI passed order, so that the dispute resolution can happen faster. So it is situated in Bombay, and the retired high court or Supreme Court judge is the presiding officer. It, typically a 3-bench panel which looks, and so every day it lists. So you can look at the website called sat.gov.in. So that is a website of SAT. So basically, it's a appellate tribunal to appeal against any SEBI order by anyone.
So,
Any
sir,
of the SEBI registered intermediaries.
so if the person is not satisfied with the order of the SAT, then he has to directly go to
Supreme
High
Court.
Court or directly
Supreme
to the
Court. Then
Supreme Court.
Supreme Court. Supreme
Then
Court.
the Supreme Court.
So
Sir,
that it is at the same level as the High Court.
so the orders of the SAT is equivalent to the orders given by the High Court, and if the person
Yes.
is not satisfied, he has to go to the Supreme Court.
Absolutely.
Sir, one of the professor with the name Assistant Professor Mayur Sindhwad, he has raised the question in connection with the Sahara case. What was the role of SEBI?
So SEBI, I'm sorry, I may not be completely conversant with that, but SEBI has only passed the order against SEBI. So whatever I know, Sahara was not doing any activity till 2007 or 6. This is just from my knowledge, okay? Please do not take it as gospel truth, but you can read up some other thing. Sahara as an entity was not doing any activity which was under the purview of SEBI till 2007 or 8. Okay, so I'll just let me pull up one slide to show you. Okay, one second. There are certain activities which do not come under SEBI purview. So, but in 2007 or 8, they came out with some debenture issue or some issue where they collected money and they thought that they don't have to get listed on the exchanges. So they did some activity of raising funds where they thought they do not need to. So this slide typically says which is regulated by what, right? So
Okay.
Right. So anything else, SEBI doesn't regulate. Now, so what all these Ponzi schemes and also what Sahara thought that they could get away without listing or anything, and then since that activity actually legally fell under the purview of SEBI got into it because some people lost money, and then they passed an order and stopped Sahara from raising more funds through the capital markets, etc. Then they had actually tried the normal way till they kept on issuing show cause and all that, but I think the Sahara, that Mr. Roy never bothered to even turn up for any hearing. They kept ignoring SEBI, and then finally it went to Supreme Court. He kept on ignoring the Supreme Court summons also, and then he was jailed for 2 years or something, and then he got payroll or whatever to see his mother who was dying, and then since then he never went back to jail from 2016, and then recently he has passed away. But as of now, what I understand, some 25,000 crores of that money which Sahara raised in 2008 was attached by SEBI that time, and that money is still lying with SEBI, and it is unpaid because there are no investors who have come up to claim that money. So it's a very interesting thing. They've been accused of raising money from investors, and the order was passed that you repay the money back to the investors. And when they tried to repay SEBI, they've only been able to pay some 130, 140 crores till now, because other than that, there is no investor who has come forward to claim that money. So
I think, sir, awareness was not been given
correct.
In that particular locality, that would be in UP or some other states
So
joining
their business model was mostly, to take funds from all these small time, vegetable fellows, auto fellows, all these slums and all, small funds they used to collect, and it was like they were paying for some time, so they were all happy, and then suddenly it stopped, and then someone complained, and then now that money is lying because there is no record or no one is coming to claim. So now what will happen again? No one knows, but that money is lying with SEBI for the last so many years. About 25,000 crores is just lying.
Maybe the reason, sir, if the investors are aware with the knowledge that you can get back the money, but they don't know the route in which they should get back.
Correct. That is one more. It's possible, but whom because they will have no record also. We don't know, right?
Okay.
Because you need some, before you file a claim or something, you need some record of what you've given, some receipt or something has to be there, right? So we don't.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure beyond that. Yeah, I don't know if.
Sir, one of the students has raised the question. To get the job in NSE, they should they should do the certification course from NISM, or directly they can get the job in NSE or BSE or any of the stock exchanges in India.
No, I would say that if you do certification, it is a definite advantage. Like I gave an example, it is a definite head start compared to a similar or a candidate with a similar experience, because it gives the person who is evaluating the CV or interviewer that, okay, this person has done this certification, at least so he is aware of the basic terms and all that, right? So it is a definite advantage. I mean, it's not mandatory, but it's an advantage. But at the same time, there are certain roles where there is a regulatory mandate for you to have those NISM certificates. For example, if you want to trade in derivatives, you want to be a dealer in derivatives, for example, you need to have a NISM derivatives module certificate to be able to do that. So there are certain roles where regulatory roles where you need to have NISM certificate as a mandatory requirement or a prerequisite to be able to work in that role.
Mayur sir, I would request you to stop sharing the screen,
okay,
so that I can take the photographs also. Sir, I had seen your journey. That is that you have done graduation from NM. Then after you did your CS company secretary, you did your CMA, and you have done your CISA, that is Certified Information System Auditor, from one of the great organization. So students in this particular session of career in securities market, the person from a BCom background can go do the CS. He has done
Absolutely.
his CMA, he has done his Certified Information System Auditor. Now he has reached to the topmost position, that is called the Chief Technological Officer of NSE. So students, from this we can get an inspiration from this Mayur sir, that the education doesn't matter, but if you are having the good hopes. Sir, in NSE, as you said, the transaction is 10⁶ microseconds. The way in which the TCS is selling the having an contract with the Australian the stock exchange. So in India, the person, if is aware with this knowledge, technical as well as non-technical knowledge, he can go and tie up. And the persons can get the knowledges from NISM also if they do the certificate. So students, do keep and watch on all the Edupedia lectures, all the lectures which have been done on behalf of the S.S.T College on the webinar by the Students' Council. So on behalf of S.S.T College, on behalf of the principal, founder principal, Dr. J.C. Pushwani, IQC coordinator, Dr. Khushbu Pushwani, and all the faculty members and my technical staff, Assistant Professor Deepak Malpani sir, for helping us to keep this webinar. And we had successfully delivered this session. And the students had, I hope, has gained the adequate knowledge. Students, I would request you to fill up the feedback form which has been shared in the group. And after within 7 days, you'll be getting the certificate. From this, from my end, I'm declaring the session is over. Thank you, Mayur sir. Thank you,
Thank
NISM.
you.
Thank you, National Stock Exchange of India Limited. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sunil. Thank you. Thank you.